My husband's sister gave me a shirt that said, "Mother-in-law in training." I asked what that meant. She said, "You'll get it when you're older and have to deal with your son's choices." I said, "Funny, I was just thinking how lucky he'll be if he marries someone nothing like you." It was a bright Sunday morning in Charleston, South Carolina. The kind where the sun casts a golden hue over the historic streets and the scent of blooming jasmine fills the air. My husband, Mark, and I were headed to his mother's house for a family brunch. These gatherings were a regular affair, filled with Southern comfort food and the usual family banter. As we arrived, the familiar creak of the porch swing greeted us. Inside, the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and sizzling bacon enveloped us. The dining room was abuzz with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Amidst the spread of grits, fried chicken, and collard greens, my sister-in-law, Jessica, approached me with a neatly wrapped package. "Here, thought you'd appreciate this," she said, her lips curving into a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Surprised, I took the package, the weight of it unfamiliar. As I peeled back the wrapping paper, a T-shirt emerged, boldly emblazoned with the words, "Mother-in-law in training." A hush fell over the table, all eyes turning to me. Confused, I held up the shirt. "What does this mean?" I asked, my voice steady but laced with uncertainty. Jessica leaned in slightly, her tone dripping with condescension. "You'll get it when you're older and have to deal with your son's choices." The room seemed to shrink, the walls pressing in as the weight of her words settled over me. A flush crept up my neck, but I refused to let her see me falter. With a calmness I barely felt, I responded, "Funny. I was just thinking how lucky he'll be if he marries someone nothing like you." The silence that followed was deafening. Jessica's face turned a shade of crimson I'd never seen before. She quickly looked away, focusing intently on her plate. Mark, seated beside me, reached under the table to give my hand a reassuring squeeze. To understand the gravity of this exchange, you need to know a bit about Jessica. As the eldest of 3 siblings, she had always been the family's shining star. Her achievements were celebrated with grandiosity, her missteps swiftly brushed under the rug. Mark, on the other hand, often felt like an afterthought, his accomplishments acknowledged with a mere nod. From the moment I entered the family, Jessica made it clear that I was an outsider. She would make snide remarks about my career choices, question my decisions, and often belittle me in front of others. I endured her behavior for the sake of family harmony, but the T-shirt incident was the final straw. After that brunch, I decided it was time to set boundaries. I began by limiting our interactions, politely declining invitations to events where Jessica would be present. When avoidance wasn't possible, I kept our conversations brief and superficial. Mark noticed the change and confronted me one evening as we prepared dinner. "Is everything okay between you and Jess?" he asked, concern etched on his face. I sighed, setting down the knife I was using to chop vegetables. "Honestly, I'm tired of her constant jabs." The T-shirt was the last straw. He nodded slowly. "I understand. I'll talk to her." "Thank you," I said, grateful for his support. Mark approached Jessica, hoping to mediate the situation. However, Jessica dismissed his concerns, claiming I was being overly sensitive. "She needs to toughen up," Jessica scoffed. "It's just family banter." Realizing that a direct confrontation wouldn't resolve the issue, I decided to take a different approach. I began documenting every instance of Jessica's passive-aggressive behavior, compiling a detailed record. My plan was to present this to the family during our next gathering, shedding light on her consistent pattern of undermining me. The opportunity arose during Thanksgiving dinner. As the family gathered around the table, I cleared my throat, drawing everyone's attention. "I'd like to address something that's been bothering me for a while," I began, my voice steady. "Jessica, I feel that your comments and actions towards me have been consistently hurtful. I've documented several instances to illustrate my point." I proceeded to read from my notes, detailing each incident with dates and direct quotes. The room was silent, the only sound being the occasional clinking of cutlery against plates. Jessica's parents looked shocked, their eyes darting between us. Mark sat beside me, his expression unreadable. Jessica's face contorted with anger. "I can't believe you're attacking me like this," she spat. "You're just trying to turn everyone against me." I shook my head. "I'm simply presenting the facts. I think it's important for everyone to understand the dynamics at play." Her father, a stern man with a commanding presence, cleared his throat. "Jessica, is this true?" She faltered, her bravado slipping. I didn't realize how my words were affecting her. Her mother chimed in. "We raised you better than this, Jessica." "Apologize." Jessica's eyes brimmed with tears as she mumbled an apology. While it lacked sincerity, it was a start. In the following weeks, Jessica's behavior improved marginally. The snide remarks decreased, and she maintained a respectful distance. While our relationship remained strained, I felt a sense of empowerment knowing I had stood up for myself. Family dynamics are complex, and while we can't choose our relatives, we can choose how we respond to their behavior. Setting boundaries and addressing issues head-on can lead to a more harmonious existence, even if it means confronting uncomfortable truths. For a few months after Thanksgiving, things were oddly peaceful. Jessica kept her distance. The family acted like nothing ever happened, which honestly didn't surprise me. This family swept things under the rug so much, I'm surprised there wasn't a mountain under there. Mark and I enjoyed the break from drama. I focused on work, he got a promotion, and we even talked about maybe trying for another baby. Life started to feel good again. But then came Jessica's baby shower. She was pregnant with her second kid, and of course, my in-laws planned a big fancy party at a vineyard in North Carolina. It was supposed to be classy, elegant, low-key. Spoiler alert, it was none of those things. I almost didn't go. I was still sore about everything and wasn't thrilled to be in a room full of people pretending Jessica was the Queen of the Carolinas. But Mark asked me to go for family. So I did. I showed up in a simple floral dress, brought a nice handmade baby quilt, and planned to smile, clap, and leave early. But the moment I walked in, I felt it. That buzz of tension. Jessica greeted me with a tight smile and that fake cheerful voice. "Oh, you came. I wasn't sure if you'd show after our little chat at Thanksgiving." I smiled. "Wouldn't miss it." She showed me to a seat near the front, right next to a woman I didn't recognize. I said hello. The woman didn't smile back. Just gave me a once-over and turned away. Odd. The game started, the speeches started, and that's when it got weird. One of Jessica's friends stood up to give a toast. She clinked her glass and said, loud and proud, "Here's to Jessica. May her daughter never have to deal with the kind of in-laws we've all heard about." The room erupted in laughter. My stomach dropped. Heads turned. Some people looked awkward, others just laughed along. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just stared at Jessica. She met my eyes with the smuggest grin I've ever seen. I realized right then, she planned this. That woman next to me? One of her circle, watching me for a reaction. The toast? A hit job, plain and simple. I excused myself to the restroom, hands shaking. Mark followed me a minute later. "What the hell was that?" I hissed. He looked pale. "I don't know. That wasn't okay. She did that on purpose." "And your mother laughed, Mark." He didn't have an answer. I left early, obviously. A week after the baby shower, Mark and I were having dinner when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, then handed it to me. It was a Facebook post. Jessica's. It read, "Had a lovely shower surrounded by real friends and family. No fakes, no drama, no manipulators. Just love. Can't wait to raise a daughter who doesn't let bitter women teach her how to act." I blinked. "She tagged me," I said flatly. "Yup." My name was tagged. She wanted me to see it. She wanted the war. I didn't even respond. I just logged off. But I knew she wasn't done. She wanted me out of the family picture, one way or another. About 2 weeks later, Mark came home from work with a weird look on his face. He didn't even take off his jacket. He just sat on the couch, stared at the wall, and said, "Jessica told Mom and Dad you're trying to turn me against the family. She said you've been spying on her, that you're jealous of her, and she said you might be having an affair." I blinked. "Excuse me?" He nodded slowly. "She said someone saw you having lunch with a man in Charlotte." That was true. I had lunch with a guy in Charlotte. His name was Owen. He's my boss. And it was about a potential internal transfer I'd been offered. Totally above board. "She's reaching," I said. "She's scared because she can't control me anymore." Mark just kept staring at the floor. Mom believed her. I laughed. I actually laughed. Of course she did. Because Jessica has been playing them her whole life. And guess what? They're going to turn on you next too. That night, I started writing everything down again. Every word, every post, every lie. Because Jessica wasn't just petty anymore, she was dangerous. And I wasn't going to let her ruin my family. About a week after the affair accusation, Mark's demeanor changed. He was quieter, distant. He'd stay late at work, barely talk during dinner, and every time he checked his phone, his face would tense up. At first, I thought maybe he was mad at me. Then I wondered if Jessica had said something worse. So I asked, "What's going on?" He looked tired. "Mom invited me to lunch yesterday. She said Dad wants me to get ahead of this mess, meaning you. They think I should start documenting your behavior." I laughed again. But this time, it hurt. "Mark, are you serious?" He didn't even defend them. Just shrugged. "I told them to knock it off. But they think you're pulling me away from the family. That maybe you're trying to isolate me." I was floored. Jessica wasn't just talking trash anymore. She was planting seeds. She was framing me as unstable, manipulative, dangerous. "They're trying to set me up," I whispered. Mark didn't answer. 2 days later, I got a call from my boss, Owen. He sounded weird. "Hey, just a heads up. Someone called the office anonymously. Said you were emotionally unstable and that you were being investigated for harassment." I felt like I'd been punched. What? That's insane. Who would? And then it hit me. Jessica. I hadn't told her about Owen. But she'd mentioned that post about the lunch in Charlotte. She must have seen a tagged photo or overheard something. She dug and found his name. "You're not in trouble," Owen said. HR flagged it, asked questions, but I told them it was probably a prank. My stomach twisted. This isn't a prank. This is personal. He paused. "Should we be worried?" "No," I said. "But she should." That night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I created a burner Facebook account. I added a few random photos, made it look real, and started watching. Jessica's friend list was mostly locked down, but her friends' profiles? Not so much. That's how I found it, a closed Facebook group called Real Moms of the South. Run by, you guessed it, Jessica. She was posting about me. Not by name, but it was clear. What do you do when your brother marries someone who plays victim every time she's called out? Do I let my kids grow up around someone who fakes being sweet but spreads lies about her family? Comment after comment. All her friends chiming in, validating her, telling her to cut the toxic out. She was grooming them, building a narrative where I was the villain and she was the hero standing up for her family. But here's where it got interesting. Buried deep in a thread, one of her friends slipped. She wrote, "I still think you should have used that old pic. Would have been poetic justice." And Jessica replied, "Tempting, but we're not going nuclear. Yet." I didn't know what photo they meant. But now I knew there was more. 2 days later, I got a text from a random number. No message. Just a picture. It was from years ago. Me at a bachelorette party in Miami, wearing a cheap fake veil, surrounded by shots. One of those wild, laugh-it-off moments. I wasn't even doing anything inappropriate. Just having fun. But the photo was edited. Someone added fake captions suggesting drugs, bad behavior, and even infidelity. It was clearly meant to look bad. and it was meant to spread. I froze. Called Mark. Sent him the photo. Jessica? He asked. Who else? He was quiet for a long time. Okay, I'm done defending her. I hired a private investigator the next day. I was done playing defense. I gave him Jessica's name, her address, her husband's name, even some of her friends. I told him I wasn't looking to destroy her. I wanted proof. Solid, clean, unbiased proof. I needed to know what she was hiding. It didn't take long. 1 week later, I got a report. Turns out Jessica's perfect life was a little cracked. Her husband had filed for a separate bank account 4 months ago. There were credit card charges in Asheville for nights Jessica claimed she was visiting mom. She had 2 profiles on dating apps under a different name, all hidden behind dummy email addresses. I sat there, holding the printed report, shaking. She was hiding a whole secret life, and yet she was the one trying to paint me as a fraud. The worst part? The PI also found a property Jessica had recently visited, registered under her maiden name. A rental cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Remote. No photos on Airbnb, no reviews. Just booked weekends, all paid in cash. And guess who she'd met there? One of the admins from her Facebook mom group. A man. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Not because I cared about her cheating, but because it showed how far she was willing to go to pretend her life was perfect, while quietly tearing mine apart. This wasn't just jealousy. This was something deeper. Maybe resentment. Maybe obsession. I didn't know yet. But I knew one thing. The truth always surfaces. And I was going to make sure everyone saw it. After I read the report, I didn't react right away. I sat with it. I thought. Then I made a plan. I wasn't going to expose her with rage. I was going to be smart. She wanted war? Fine. But this time, I wasn't just defending myself, I was going to burn down every lie she ever told. I called Mark into the living room. Showed him the report. Every page. He didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, he said, "You want to show this to Mom and Dad?" I nodded. Not yet. First, I want to see how far she'll go. The next family gathering was Easter. Jessica was there, of course, glowing and smug. She gave me a plastic smile and a hug like we were friends. Then she gave me a gift. Another t-shirt. This one said, "Better luck next wife." I laughed out loud. "Oh, that's good," I said. She blinked, confused. "What?" "I just didn't realize you were this desperate. But now I know." She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "You okay?" "Oh, I'm great," I smiled. "You should enjoy this Easter. Might be your last one with all your secrets." Her face twitched. Then I stood up, clinked a fork to my glass, and said, "Actually, since we're all here, I have something to share." I pulled out the manila envelope I'd brought in my purse. Passed it to her parents. Mark helped me hand out copies. Jessica's husband got one, too. Her face was frozen. "What is this?" her dad asked. I stood straight. "This is who your daughter really is. And what she's been doing behind all your backs." Gasps. Silence. Then the sounds of paper flipping. Confusion. Anger. Jessica tried to grab the copies. "This is fake. She made all this up." Mark stepped in. "No, Jess. We hired a licensed investigator. Everything in there is verified." Her mom looked pale. "You have a cabin in another name?" Jessica stammered. It's not like that." And then her husband stood up. "You lied to me. You said you were visiting your sister." Jessica snapped. "Oh, please, like you're perfect?" Her dad slammed his hand on the table. Enough. The room was a mess. Her lies about me, about her life, were unraveling in front of everyone. She tried to cry, tried to beg, but nobody was buying it. In the days that followed, everything blew up. Jessica's husband moved out. Her mom stopped speaking to her. She got dropped from her job as a family lifestyle coach on Instagram. Someone leaked her fake accounts to her followers. Her reputation? Torched. But here's where I messed up because I wasn't done. I leaked the photo too. The bachelorette party pic she tried to use against me? I posted the original, and next to it, the edited one she tried to smear me with. I wrote a long post explaining what she'd done. It went viral. Strangers praised me. Clapback queen. Revenge goals. But deep down, I didn't feel good. I felt cold. Because even though she deserved it, I had crossed the line too. And Mark, he started pulling away. A few weeks later, Mark sat me down. "I'm leaving," he said. My chest tightened. "What?" "I love you. But this whole thing, it's poisoned everything. Our marriage is just revenge and anger now. You're not the same." I tried to argue. "I did it for us. To protect us." He shook his head. "You did it for you. You let it take over. We both did." And just like that, he was gone. Jessica lost her marriage, her image, her circle. I lost mine, too. If I could go back, would I do it again? Yes, but not like that. I let her drag me into the dirt. I let her change me. I thought winning would feel like freedom. But revenge isn't clean. It doesn't come with closure. Sometimes you win the war, but lose everything else. So here I am, sitting in my new apartment, alone, staring at that stupid shirt she gave me, the one that started it all. Mother-in-law in training. Funny, because now I've learned exactly what kind of woman I don't want to be.